A man in Fort Lauderdale paid $29,000 for a sailboat that was going to take him to the islands. 3 years later, he'd buried $94,000 in her, and she still hasn't left the yard. He didn't get robbed at the dock. He got robbed in the boatyard, one invoice at a time, with a handshake and a smile. Let me show you how that happens. Walk the hard at any big yard in Florida, Lauderdale, Stewart, Green Cove Springs, and you'll see them. Boats up on jack stands with a tarp gone green, weeds growing in the cradle, a sun-faded sign zip-tied to the bow rail. $3,900. Must sell. Good bones. Somebody's dream. Parked on stilts. And the broker who sold her talked about those good bones and a little weekend elbow grease and sailing her home this season. He quoted the sticker. He never once quoted the yard. That's the whole trick, and it's a sharper one than the new boat salesman runs. The new boat man sells you a shiny production boat and hides the truth that it'll never cross an ocean. The bargain broker does the opposite. He sells you a boat that genuinely could cross an ocean, once, long ago, and hides the bill stapled to the bottom of the hull where you can't see it until she's hauled. One sells you too little boat for too much money. The other sells you a real boat with a yard invoice you won't read until it's too late to walk away. Same lie, different costume. So today we do the math. 5 sailboats that look like the deal of a lifetime on the listing and quietly cost more to own than a turnkey Pacific Seacraft 37, the boat we crowned the queen of the blue water bargains last time, the one you can buy done, sailing, and sorted for under $150,000. Every boat on this list, by the time the grinder goes quiet, costs you more than that. One of them is still worth every penny, and I'll tell you which one and exactly why. Let's add it up. First, why this trap is everywhere right now. The brokerage market is stuffed with old charter boats. Florida and the islands built whole fleets of them in the 70s and 80s, flogged them through a decade of bareboat weeks and turned them loose cheap. Cheap is the bait. Because here's the number nobody on the listing wants to say out loud. On a 40-year-old cruising boat, the purchase price is just the part of the iceberg above the water. The standing rigging is already on the clock. Wire lasts 10 to 15 years. And a re-rig runs $6,000 to $10,000 on a 40-footer and well past $15,000 on a 50. And your insurer and your surveyor both know it. A full sail wardrobe is a used car's worth. A teak deck gone bad is a 5-figure amputation. A repower is $15,000 to $25,000 before you've sailed a single mile. Stack 3 or 4 of those on one boat at one time and the bargain is gone. Gone. So let's start with the one that looks like the most boat for the least money and is the least likely to ever take you where the photo promised. Number 5, the Morgan Out Island 41. 41 feet, center cockpit, an aft cabin with a real walk-around bed, and a price that lights your eyes up. You'll find them from the low 20,000s to maybe $50,000. More boat per dollar than almost anything floating. Charlie Morgan drew her, and he drew her honestly, for the charter trade in the Bahamas. Nearly half the production went straight into bareboat fleets. Shoal draft to float over the sandbars, beam to sleep 8, an easy helm for renters who'd never trimmed a sail. What she was never drawn to do is claw to windward through a Gulf Stream gale 1,000 miles from the nearest beach. I've talked to men who delivered them offshore, and the story rhymes every time. Ditch bag by the companionway, life jackets out on the settee, quietly wondering how much that one rough passage just took off her life. She's a Bahamas station wagon, a fine one, but not a blue water boat. Now run the numbers on the cheap one. That $29,000 listing needs standing and running rigging. There's $8,000. The side decks are balsa cord and they're soft underfoot, recore, 10 to 20,000. The old Perkins smokes on startup, budget a repower. You're north of $60,000 on a boat that finished, still won't cross an ocean in comfort. You didn't buy a blue water bargain. You bought a charter barge with a project taped to it. Number 4 costs about the same to make right, and it'll break your heart while you do it, because it's the prettiest boat on the hard. Number 4, the Hans Christian 38. And let me be straight with you. This is a real blue water boat, a heavy double-ender that's logged circumnavigations, overbuilt the way the yard stopped bothering to build. That is exactly what makes her dangerous. She looks like a steal because she is breathtaking, and she is cheap. Tired ones from $30,000, lovely ones into the 80s. Then you walk her deck, teak, acres of it, screwed down over a plywood core with hundreds of fasteners, and every last screw is a slow drip into the wood beneath. Let her sit 3 seasons under a cover, and the rot spreads under that teak the way fog fills a bay, quiet, total, and invisible, until you're standing ankle-deep in it. The cure isn't a repair, it's surgery. The yard peels the teak, cuts out the soaked core, relaminates, repaints, and that bill runs $15,000 to $30,000, and a fancy Annapolis yard quoting by the foot can carry a 50-footer past $100,000 on the deck alone. Then the bright work, which never stops asking. Then the rig. Then the tired old Volvo. A $40,000 Hans Christian with wet decks is a $90,000 boat wearing a $40,000 tag, and the difference stays hidden until she's up on stands and the grinder comes out. Number 3 has the very same disease, a thinner build underneath it, and a nickname her owners wear like a badge. Number 3, the Formosa 41, and her whole tribe of sisters, the CT 41, the Mariner, the Yankee Clipper, all of them traced back to a William Garden design and built by a dozen yards across Taiwan in the 70s. They look magnificent. A clipper bow, a saloon dripping with carved teak, the entire romantic postcard for $30,000 to $50,000. The fleet carries a nickname, handed down owner to owner, the Leaky Tiki. Same teak deck over the same plywood, except the plywood was sometimes not even marine grade, and the leaks find the cabin top, the bulkheads, the core, all of it. The wiring was suspect the day it left the factory. The metal in the through holes and chain plates was built down to a price. The spars are sometimes wood, sometimes weeping. Go on the owners' forums and you'll find a club. They call themselves the Leaky Tiki Yacht Club, and they are some of the most cheerful sailors on the water because they walked in with their eyes wide open. The honest ones will tell you a proper refit: decks, rewire, retank, re-rig, respar, eats 2 years and pushes $80,000 on top of the purchase. I found one for sale with a keel-up restoration where the owner spared nothing. 2 years in the yard, every system new, the works. Asking price? $89,000. There's the whole lesson sitting in a single listing. By the time she's truly right, she costs exactly what a done Pacific Seacraft costs, and you did 2 years of hard labor for the privilege. And that gap between the sticker and the total, the number the broker leaves off the page, is the whole reason this channel exists. If you'd rather hear it from a man with no boat to sell you, do me one favor, tap that like button, then hit subscribe. I put a couple of these out every week, so there's always another bill coming up over the horizon before you ever sign for it. Number 2, the CSY 44, and here is where I switch sides, because every honest list needs the one boat the bargain hunters have dead right. Caribbean sailing yachts built her in the late 70s for exactly one job: survive the charter trade in the islands without coming apart. So they built her like a seawall. The hull is solid glass, 9 laminations, close to 1 inch thick above the waterline, no core at all to rot below it. The keel was engineered to take a hard grounding and shrug it off. Cruising World put her on its list of the 40 best sailboats of all time, and you'll find them, charter beaten and weary, from $70,000 to $110,000. Now she is not free to fix. A boat that did 15 years of bareboat weeks needs sails, rigging, an engine sorted, fresh electrics, the lot, and that is real money, same as the others. But here's the difference, and it is the whole game. On the Morgan and the Formosa, you spend that money just to make the boat sound. On the CSY, you spend it on a hull that was already a fortress the day she rolled out of Tampa. You're buying systems, not structure. That is the bargain that stays a bargain. Pour $40,000 into a CSY 44 and you own a boat that'll outlast your mortgage and most of your friendships. Pour the same $40,000 into the wrong hull and all you own is a very expensive education. Same checkbook, opposite endings. Which brings us to number one, the boat that takes this entire trap and supersizes every line of it. Number one, the Irwin 52. 52 feet of center cockpit, raised saloon live aboard yacht. 3 cabins, 3 heads, a saloon you could hold a wedding in for the money of a used pickup with a camper on the back. I've watched tired ones listed under $60,000. 52 feet. For 60 grand. Read that twice and you can feel the hook setting in your lip. Ted Irwin built big, roomy, surprisingly quick boats, and he built them down to a price. Light where the true Bluewater boats are heavy. But set the build aside for a moment, because the Irwin 52 teaches the most expensive lesson on this whole list, and it's nothing but arithmetic. Every cost scales with length. Re-rig a 52, and you're not writing the Morgan's $8,000 check. You're writing $15,000 to $25,000. And if she's carrying rod rigging, more again. A full sail wardrobe for a ketch this size, main, mizzen, Genoa, staysail, is a small car parked in a sail loft. The haul-out is billed by the foot. The slip is billed by the foot. The bottom paint comes by the gallon, and she drinks gallons. Every number on this boat is bigger because she is bigger, and they all come due in the same season. I read one listing where the seller had sunk $125,000 into a hull that sat on the hard for 20 years. Another described itself in 2 flat words: project boat. A $60,000 Irwin 52 is a $200,000 commitment in a $60,000 wrapper, and the Boatyard collects the spread whether your bank account is ready or not. There's a reason the cheapest big boat in the marina has been the cheapest big boat in the marina for 3 years running. Somebody already ran this math and lost. So what would I buy with my own money off this exact list? 2 answers. If I wanted a project, and I had the skill and a shed and 2 patient winters, I'd hunt down the CSY 44, the tired, charter-flogged one nobody else will touch. And I'd turn that fortress hull into a boat I'd sail anywhere, all in for less than the price of a new mast on something Swedish. That is the one name on this page that stays a bargain to the end. But if I just wanted to go sailing, if the dream is the ocean and not the orbital sander, I'd do the thing this whole list has been quietly screaming at you the entire time. I'd skip every boat on it. I'd take the same money the Irwin would have swallowed in the yard, and I'd go buy the boat that's already finished. The turnkey Pacific Seacraft. The sorted Cape Dory with fresh wire. The one some other soul already poured 2 years and a fortune into, now selling for less than that refit cost him. Let the last owner take the Boatyard beating. You just take the boat. Because that is the line the bargain broker will never print on the listing. The cheapest boat is almost never the cheapest boat. The sticker is the bait, the yard is the hook, and the dream bleeds out one invoice at a time while she sits up on stands going absolutely nowhere. Don't let anybody sell you a project and call it a passage. The right boat, the done one, the sorted one, the one with her sails already bent on, is sitting at a dock somewhere right now, waiting. She'll still be there after you've done the math, and she'll be the one actually floating when the morning finally comes to slip the lines and go. Next time, I'll show you how to read a survey like the surveyor's working for the seller, because in a fast deal, half the time he is.